Achieving quality production. In this topic, we'll discuss about what is quality, total quality management, what are the methods that are required to check the quality, what is quality control, what are the advantages and disadvantages of quality assurance. That is what we are going to cover in this topic. So, achieving quality reduction. Quality. What basically quality is? Quality is to produce a good or service which meets customers' expectations. So, quality is the you can say the product's characteristics or the features which satisfies customers' requirements. Quality is important for a business because it establishes brand image, it builds brand loyalty, it maintains a good reputation, it will help to increase sales, it will attract more and new customers. Quality plays a major role for the success of a business as it helps a business to establish their brand reputation, to maintain the brand loyalty, to achieve more customer satisfaction, to boost up their sales and generate maximum revenue, and to attract and maintain the potential and new customers. What will happen if the quality is not maintained? Do you know what will happen if the quality of any product or a service is not being maintained by the business?
If the quality falls, you can lose customers because most customers like quality products.
Anything else?
No.
If the quality is not maintained, businesses will lose the customers to other brands, competitors, have to replace faulty products or repeat poor service, which raises cost for business.
Okay.
Okay. If the quality is not being maintained, the businesses will have to suffer the loss of customers. The customers will move towards the other competitors or they will shift towards other brands. They have to replace the faulty products or repeat poor service, which raises cost for business. Have a bad reputation because people who had bad experiences will tell other people, etc. Leads to lower sales and revenue. So there would be a bad word of mouth for the business because people will share experiences with the other people. This will create a bad reputation for other customers as well. And this will lead towards lower sales and less revenue. Quality control.
Okay.
Quality control is basically the checking for quality at the end of the production process, whether it is a product or a service. When a product or a service is being made or generated, that product or service is checked for the quality at the end in order to see whether the product is being maintained according to the standards or not. Quality control is a traditional way to make sure that products leave the factories with no defects. The jobs of the people in quality control departments are to take samples at regular intervals to check for errors. If errors are found, the whole batch of production might have to be redone. Their job is also to prevent any production errors because before they happen during production, which will lead to money loss. Quality production has a very major importance while designing the product and the service. The quality control department has to make sure that the products that are going out of the factory has no defects, and the quality control department has to maintain a regular check at regular intervals of time. If there are some errors or the products are faulty, the whole batch of production has to be redone. The whole process has to be repeated again. The production will be done again. So their job is to make sure that the production of the products or a service has to be without any faults.
Yeah.
If there are faults and the process has to be redone again, then there will be more. Then the more money will be invested in that production process for repetition. So they have to make sure that at the first time, during the first time, the correct products will be produced.
Okay.
Sometimes businesses bring a mystery customer to test out the service to check if the quality is as expected. There are businesses that allows the customers to check their product to see if the quality is being maintained according to the standards or not. Advantages of quality control. There are certain benefits of quality control which are listed below. Eliminates faults, error before customers receives product or service. Remove
Okay.
the errors or remove the faults or remove the defects before the purchase of the customer. Less training is required for the workers. So there is another advantage is there will be less training that the staff requires less training. Next is drawbacks of quality control. There are certain disadvantages of quality control as well. Expensive, as employees need to be paid to check the product or service. Identifies the fault, but not how and why it occurred, so it is difficult to remove the problem. Increased cost if products have to be scrapped or reworked or service repeated. The major drawbacks are it is expensive, as more cost will be involved if the production process has to be redone again if there are faults found in the product, and it is difficult to repeat the same process again because it wastes the time as well, and it also occurs more cost. And sometimes it also happens that it is very difficult to detect the fault, that why it occurs and how it has occurred. And it has more cost as well because employees has to work again to check the product. The employees has to be paid again. Next is quality insurance. Quality insurance is checking for quality standards throughout the production process. Quality assurance is done, and in quality assurance you have to check the quality standards, whether the product or the service is according to the standards set or not. Advantages of quality assurance. Eliminates false errors before customer receives product or service. Fewer customer complaints. Reduce cost if products do not have to be scrapped or reworked or service repeated. So some of the benefits of quality assurance are there will be less customer complaints if the product that is being sent to the customer is without faults and it is being done through checking before the customer receives the product or the service. And it will also help in the reduction of the cost if the products have not been sent to the scrap or it is being reworked or the same production process is repeated for the product. There are certain disadvantages of quality assurance. Expensive to train employees to check products. Relies on employees following instructions of the standard set by the company. Quality assurance, the disadvantages are that it is very much expensive. It includes a lot of cost as the staff has to be trained to check the products for the standards. And the business have to rely on the staff as they are following, you have to see that they are following the instructions and standards set by the company or not. So you have to rely on the staff as well. The business have to be dependent on the employees to see whether they are following the instructions and the standards that are being set by the business. The next is total quality management, TQM. The continuous improvement of products and processes by focusing on quality at each stage of production. Total quality management is the concept which involves continuous improvement of the products and the methods or the techniques which are used in the production process by concentrating on quality at every stage of production. So the business has to work side by side during the production process to see whether the quality is maintained or not. Total quality management is used by many companies. It tries to get it right the first time and have no defects. This is the major concept of total quality management, that get it right the first time. It means that the product should be developed according to the standards at the very first time, and it must not have any defect or fault. It focuses on ensuring 100% that the customer is always satisfied. The major purpose of the total quality management is the business have to make sure that the customer is 100% satisfied. Customer is not just the final user, it also includes other people and department within the business. This means that quality needs to be maintained throughout the business and no faults should occur. Advantages of total quality management. Quality is built into each part of the production. It becomes a habit for the employees. Eliminates virtually all faults, errors before the customer receives. No customer complaints, so brand images improved. Waste is removed and efficiency increases, which means less money is wasted, higher profits. The benefits that are associated with total quality management are that the quality is developed in every part of the production, in each phase of the production stage. This should be developed into the employees. This habit should be into the employees so that they will always tries to work and make the products without any faults. And it will virtually eliminate or remove all of the errors or the mistakes that happens during the production process before the customers receive the product or the service. There will be less customer complaints as the brand reputation and image will be improved. Product wastage will be less, raw material wastage will be quite less, and efficiency will be increased, which leads towards higher revenue. Drawbacks of total quality management. The drawbacks are very expensive to train employees to check the product and service at every stage of production, relies on employees following the ideology of total quality management. It includes more cost to train the employees so that they check the product and the service at each stage of production, and the business must have to be dependent on the employees so that we see they are following the standards of total quality management.
Okay.
Next is related to the location decisions. There are certain factors that affects the selection of location for a business. Number one, labor, and it includes cost and skills of the labor. How many employees and if they rely on special labor skills. In labor, you have to see that how much staff is required by the business to perform certain activities or tasks, and you have to see what will be the skills of the labor that are required by the business. And if they need certain special skills for any special task, they have to hire those labor having such special skills. Cost of land premises. Big manufacturing companies need a lot of cheap land to build. So the cost of the land or the location must be kept in mind while deciding the location for the business. So the large companies, they need cheap land to build a factory or the company. Transport links, supplies and distribution. Being close to transport links, that is railroad, means that products can easily and quickly transported, which reduces time wasted. And if the business imports a lot of components, it will be cheaper if they easily transported. Transport links. Transport links plays role in the process of supplies and distribution of raw material and products. And if the business is very near to the transport link, that is, you can say that if they are very much near to the railway lines or the railroad, in that case, the raw materials and the products can easily be shifted from one place to another. This will reduce the time and it will reduce the cost as well. And if the business is if the business is in the if the business is using imports, then it will be quite cheaper for a business to transport from one place to another if the transport links are very much near.
Okay.
Sales technique. If a company does online or phone sales, then the company does not need to be in the center of the city. If it relies on personal visits by customers like retail, it should. So, sales technique. If the company is using online service or the phone calls service to sales their product or the service, then it is not necessary for a business to be in the mid of the city. Its office can be anywhere because they are just doing the online business or they are making the sales on the phone. But if there is a requirement of personal visits by the customers, then it should be in the middle of the city so that the customers can easily approach the company. What the business does. Manufacturing businesses are usually in the outskirts of the city where land is cheaper because they do not rely on customer visits. A retail company would be near customers. So now here it depends on the objective of the business or the purpose of the business, that what basically business is doing. If there is a manufacturing business, it can be in the outskirts of the city, where land is quite cheaper as compared to the other parts of the city, because they are not dependent on the customer's visit. The customers does not have to visit again and again for the purchase of the products. So it can be at the corners of the city. But if there is a retail company, then it should be near to the customers. It should be in the middle of the city or it should be in the airport of the customers. Number location of competitors. Having competitors nearby is not always a bad thing. If there are many clothes shops right next to each other, it encourages people to visit the area because there is a lot of choice in increases business. So having large number of competitors close to the business is not always a very bad thing. If there are multiple number of shops related to the same business, for example, clothes, it will motivate the customers to visit that area so that they will have a lot of choice to select from, and it will increase the business of all of the shops that are in that area. Some businesses may decide to locate their operations in another country to expand operations. The business then become a TNC, transnational company. In some cases, the business are in another country. They have set their production processes in another country, so that they can expand their operations. In that case, the business or the company is known as transnational company.
Okay.
Factors influencing decisions of which country to locate operations in. Number one, new market overseas. When a business sees an increase in sales overseas, it may decide to relocate there instead of transporting products there. So if there is an opportunity for the new market, for the new customers, for a business, then the business might relocate or shift towards that country instead of just transporting or import or exporting goods to other countries. They might move to that country to have more and more customers. Cheaper source of material. If the raw material runs out, the business must either bring in alternative supplies from somewhere else or relocate to new country with these new raw materials. It also might be cheaper than transporting it. So if the raw material finish out, the business they have to see the alternative options from where they can get the supply, or they might have to move to another country having such raw materials. If the new country is having such raw materials, it will reduce the cost of transportation. Difficulties with the labor force and wage costs. If business is located in country where wages keep rising, business may decide it is more profitable to relocate to country where wages are lower.
Okay.
In case of developed countries where the labor costs are quite high, it would be difficult for a business to generate more revenue in those businesses. So they will move towards those countries like developing countries where the labor cost is quite low to have maximum profit. Rents, taxes, considerations. If other costs such as rent or taxes increase, this might cause business to relocate countries where it is lower.
Okay.
So the business have to keep in mind the rents and the taxes besides other costs as well. Because if the rents or the taxes are more in a certain country, they might decide to move towards those countries having less cost and rent. Okay. This is the new section, financial information decisions. Okay, the next section is related to the financial information and decisions that are involved in the process of business. How much finance is required in a business, and what would be the sources of finance that a business can use to obtain the investment? What are the advantages and disadvantages associated with the sources of business? And what is the best source for a business to acquire the capital? First is needs of capital. What is finance? Finance is the capital that is required by the business to run their operations, or it is the money that is being invested into the business for the for the running of the business. Main reasons why business need finance. To start up a business, the money needed to buy the essential assets to start trading is the startup capital. To expand the business, to increase working capital.
Okay. All right.
There are certain reasons for a business that why should they need the finance. They have to start a new business. They have to initiate a new business. So the investment is required to purchase the essential materials and assets to start their business. And the investment that is being injected at the start of the business is also known as startup capital. Finance is also required to expand the business. If the business wants to expand their services, they have to put in more capital to increase the working capital. What is working capital? Working capital is the money that is needed to pay day-to-day costs. It's the finance that is required by the business to perform their day-to-day activities, and this involves costs. So this is the cost that occurs day to day. There are two types of finance needs: short-term finance needs and long-term finance needs. Short-term finance needs involves the finance that requires to be that is required to pay things that last less than a year. Working capital includes wages, rent. Short-term finance, the finance that they are the requirements by the business that needs to be paid, that have a very short span. They have it has a span of less than 1 year. So these are the finance needs that are these are the costs that must be paid during the period of 1 year.
Okay.
So it includes, the examples are wages of the employees, and the rent of the building. These are the short-term finance needs. Long-term finance needs: long-term investments that last more than 1 year. Money to buy fixed asset that is movable. Long-term financial needs are the needs that are the long-term investments, and their period is more than 1 year. Long-term long-term finance is also required to purchase fixed assets for a company. For example, buildings. For example, machinery and other equipments.
Okay.
Sources of capital. The main sources of capital are internal sources and external sources. Internal sources are the sources which is obtained by the business itself. Internal sources are the sources which are being arranged by the business themselves internally. It means that those sources might include owner's investment, or the shareholders' investments, or the partner's investment into the business. These are the internal resources. And the external resources are the sources which are obtained from outside business. Examples of internal resources and external resources. The examples of internal resources are retained profit, sales of assets. External sources examples are issue of shares if it is limited or private limited company, bank loans, microfinance, grants. Internal sources might include the retained profit, that is the profit that is being retained by the company. And second is the sale of assets. The assets can be sold to generate internal sources of finance for the company. External sources might include the company will issue the shares if it is a private limited company or a private limited company, and they might access bank loans, they might use the facility of microfinance, and they might also use the facility of grants as well to arrange the finance for the business. Microfinance. Microfinance is providing smaller loans to poor people to start up their own business. Microfinance is basically a small amount of loan that is provided to the people to start up or initiate their business themselves. Microfinance is very important in developing countries. There are also short-term and long-term sources. Do not get confused with short, long-term finance needs. So there are short-term and long-term sources in order to meet the short-term and long-term needs for business. Short-term sources. Short-term sources includes the money that must be paid back in less than a year. And long-term sources is the money that can be paid back in longer than 1 year. So long-term sources, they might have the period of paying back the loan in more than 1 year, and short-term sources are the sources in which the finance has to be paid in in the period of 1 year.
Okay.
Short-term sources and long-term sources include overdrafts and trade credit. Short-term sources include overdrafts and trade credit, and long-term sources include bank loans, issuing shares, owner saving, hire purchase. Overdrafts. When the bank allows a business to spend more money than they have in their account, that is to pay employees. Trade credit, delay paying suppliers to be in better cash position. Overdraft is the facility that is being provided by the bank that permits a business to spend more money, to spend more investment, than they have in their account. They can spend more besides their account. That is, they can pay more to the employees by using this overdraft facility. Trade credit. In the case of trade credit, the business delay payment to the suppliers so that they have more cash in hand. They might ask the suppliers, they have agreements or contracts with the suppliers that they will pay for the services or the supplies later on so that they might have more better cash position. Long-term sources includes bank loans, issuing shares, owner saving, and hire purchase. Bank loans, you know that the bank will issue the loan. Issuing share is that you will issue the shares to the customers of the company so that you will have more money against those shares. Owner saving is the saving or the investment that is being done by the owner of the company. Hire purchase. Hire purchase is when a business buys a fixed asset in monthly payments, which include interest. So hire
Okay.
purchase is the concept in which a company can purchase a fixed asset in monthly installments. You can say it's a monthly installment. And this type of payments or the installments includes interest factor as well. The business has to pay the interest. The main factors considered in financial choice. In making a financial choice, some factors have to be considered. Number one, size of business and legal form, type of business. Public limited companies have larger choice of sources of finance because they pay less interest, less risk. Public limited company, they have a wider selection of sources of finance because they might pay less interest and there will be less risk. Another please.
Yes.
Second is amount of capital. Amount of capital required. If you just need a little money, you won't issue new shares. So if the business might require very limited money or very limited investment, they might not opt for the issue of new shares to generate the capital, to generate the finance. Purpose of capital and time period. The general rule is that the finance source should match the finance need. Yes, example of this is if use of capital is long term, source would be long term. Same with short term. If the requirement of the company is long term financing, then the source would also be long term financing. And if the company requires short term loans or short term investments, then they may opt for short term sources. Existing loans. If a business already took a lot of bank loans, banks will think it is too risky to finance. So a business must consider their financial position before taking any other loans. They have to see whether they have taken the loans in the past as well or not. If they have taken the loan, then the banks will not issue new loans to those business because they might find them risky. They might not be able to pay back their loans.
Right.
Okay, so yes, now this is the end of the topic related to finance.
Yes.
So we have to see that what are the sources of the finance, what basically finance is, what is the requirement of the business, whether they require long-term finances or the short-term finances, what factors are involved in making a good financial decision, and what are the advantages and disadvantages of certain sources of finance.